Yo, yo, what's up, good people? The boys from the Phantom Geek Soul are back once again, bringing you a dope episode. As usual, I'm Izzy.
I'm Riyaal.
And today we're breaking down none other than Black Panther. Or shall I say, the Black Panther, you know? But yeah, man, continuing with our MCU recap series, of course, you know. A lot of excitement for this one. Definitely cannot lie. Won't even pretend. You know. Look, let's just get right to it, man. We coming off of the heels of Civil War.
Yeah.
You know, sure, there's Black Widow in the mix-ish, but as far as main events, if you will.
Yeah.
We had a dope intro.
What is it? My canon event.
Yeah. But this is canon now, you know. We had the dope intro of Black Panther coming through in Civil War. We spoke about how he stole every scene, held it down.
Yeah.
That doesn't always translate to a great movie,
yeah.
you know, when it comes to then you being the focus and the lead from start to finish. And so we've got that, you know, in this particular movie where he moved from a, side character
to
taking the main stage. What's your take as far as how he's come through? And I mean, with so many other elements in addition to that, it's the first time we're seeing a live action Black Panther.
And then it's the first time seeing like a predominantly black cast.
Amen.
I think Black Panther in of itself was a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
At the time.
And in retrospect, how has the movie held up?
It's held up. I think it's held up really well.
Yeah.
I think it's held up really well. On the rewatch, it's more understanding the movie better. Because I was still a student back then, didn't really understand the full, the gravitas of it.
Okay.
But also even just the story, understanding the story a bit better.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's held up. I did enjoy it. And then not much more to say. And in terms of the movie, to quote a line from the movie, it didn't freeze. To paraphrase it didn't freeze. But I think other people may have enjoyed it a little bit more than I did. Yeah. I don't think it's one of the best Marvel movies.
Yeah.
But it definitely, for what it was and what it gave us,
it's
exactly what it needed to be.
And I mean, look, I don't even want us to shy away from it one bit. I think the cultural aspect in particular is going to make for quite an interesting conversation between the
Especially
two of us.
being a South African as well.
Yeah, with the South African element.
Yeah.
And then with, half representation, if you will, because it's like, black person's perspective and then a non-black person's perspective.
Yeah.
What's the takeaway? So I'm keen to delve into it because I mean outside of the reviews, this is obviously going to be our first time reviewing this movie.
Yeah.
But we've never chopped it over Black Panther in the past on any level.
We've done the second movie.
The second one, but just as far as the overall significance of it, we've never gotten to the nitty-gritty. So it'll be the first time, getting your take on it. And as much as I'm not going to be speaking on behalf of all black people, you're not going to be speaking on behalf of all non-black people.
Yep.
But it's still nice, just get that perspective given those elements. And I think, you are correct. It does still hold up as far as, the summation of it. We're, of course, going to get into the specifics. I agree with you. But interestingly enough, this is the second time I've watched this movie.
Okay.
I watched it once when it came out. And at the time, I felt it kind of fell short.
Yeah.
And I'll, of course, expound.
I can agree with you on that. At the time, I was just it's like, I think it was overhyped. And it suffered from that.
Let's say a lot of hype. Let's start off there. Let's say there's a lot of hype. And then we'll maybe circle back to
I think
over or not.
You know what did it a disservice? It was a lot of hype from non-casuals.
Ooh.
You know?
Yeah, because that's why I'm like, let's not say over just yet, because what they were hyped for were not necessarily MCU elements of it. It was the other stuff. Okay, I think that's but that for me was an additional factor. I still feel at its base level at the time, I felt like, because I watched it nice and early, so it was before people had a chance
opinions and stuff,
ruin it with the hype and that sort of thing. But all of that and more stay tuned. You know, so yeah.
But and then how are you feeling now? On the second rewatch?
I'm getting I'll tell you how I feel now. I enjoyed it, and to your point, the context felt more fleshed out, or rather, I
You
paid
resonated with it more,
attention
yeah.
to the context a lot more. And cultural aspects aside, which we will get to, like you said, there was the hype around it, granted, but for me, because I watched it before the hype, it was more, I think, the Civil War excitement.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, damn, it's this. And then, this one homie was like telling me about Black Panther. Yeah, he's like the richest guy ever. He's like, and I'm like, this dude has got all these amazing things, strongest missile in the world. They've got this thriving society, but I've never seen or heard of him anyway. Okay, the movie is clearly gonna,
Yeah, show me.
Yeah, so there was a lot riding on the movie based off of that. And yeah, fine, back to how I feel now. I fully understood the context a little more. To close off this summation, I was expecting more spectacle at the time.
Okay.
Whereas clearly they went for a relatively grounded route.
Coming of age type story.
Coming of age, taking over the throne,
It's,
establishing and introducing Wakanda itself.
Yes, introducing Wakanda, and also there's a word I'm looking for. It's like uncertainty type.
Yeah.
The
He didn't come.
of power.
We knew him as the Black Panther, but in this, he almost had to go to a journey.
Yeah, he didn't have that charisma.
In order to,
he didn't have that charisma.
Yes. Yeah.
That and just while we're talking, that charisma came across in Civil War.
Yes.
But then coming back home and being in the aftermath of it, and now you have to be the king, and your dad is gone, and your family and your people and whatnot. I think then it different T'Challa.
Yeah. It's very funny when you say coming home, because an interesting thing, right? I think as far as actual facts, when someone speaks to their parent, doesn't matter how old they are, their voice goes up, 2-3 octaves, I don't remember the number. But yeah, because you almost, so there's this thing, before I finish that point, if you think about link up with an old friend from primary or whatever, right? I mean, you're so far removed from primary, and I know a certain version of you, especially with having met you after high school. Then when I see you with that friend, it's like, what's happening with Riyaal? And the term for that is associative regression.
Oh, okay.
In a similar manner, I think there is, whether it's the same term or something different, but that
with
whole
your
parent thing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, those are the day ones at the end of the day. And it's always been so funny because, I mean, I learned about this many years ago, and I've always observed it. You're chilling with the homies or whatever, and then it's like, mom, and I'm like, yo, where's the tough thug that I see every day, So from now on, try and keep an eye out for, with your tough friends when they interact with their parents and how they come across. So I think you make a very good point when you say, now when he goes home, the swag, the charisma is gone, because there's a groundedness that naturally comes from being back home. Not to mention, in this instance, then losing his rock, which is his dad. So, because I remember there was a time where I'm like...
And then also to have his questions... his
now
beliefs question.
The mantle of the great father is becoming a little shattered.
Yeah.
And not to mention the context he gains throughout his own journey. So, the layers in this movie, dog. They definitely did a good job as far as of winning the spectacle. And just grounding it, especially...
But there were aspects of spectacle.
They were, right? But over and above what we got in this movie, we got a lot of it in Civil War as well. So it's like, it can't all be spectacle. Like, create a balance by moving up and down the scales, if you will, So, yeah, I mean, damn, I'm already getting hyped by the conversation, in case you can't tell. But... Let's get right into some of the specifics then, right? We touched on, T'Challa already in some aspect. I think let's just go all the way with it.
Characters,
There was, I remember a certain scene, I don't remember the specific, probably when he was chatting with Shuri in the lab or something, and I'm like, no, man. I was just talking about this guy having the second greatest, cinema walk of the Denzel Washington, but I'm like, I'm not seeing any of that. But we basically touched on why that, pretty much got stripped away from him. But let's talk his character journey in a bit more detail, So he basically starts off on his Black Panther vibe, with the rescuing of, sort of rescuing, because,
So this was the one with in Korea.
This is, I was going to highlight it with the Korean scene, actually, comes up in the conversation, but when he's, again, rescuing Nakia and the captives there, he gets on his Black Panther, and then after that, he's home.
That one is in Nigeria, sorry.
That's in Nigeria, and then, no, you get to Korea, don't rush, But let's talk through the journey that he went through.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously that opening scene is all that swagger, all that presence.
Yeah.
In that scene, what really stood out to me, he was actually a panther. Because he was in the jungle, coming out of the dark, hunting his people. So I like the name living up to the action.
Okay.
Also, just a shout out to that scene, the visual. I don't know if the visual representation of the cars. Like that was a beautiful. I thought that was really cool. That technology. Also, just showing like Wakanda is a lot more advanced.
Yes.
They've got like this actual grainy thing, whereas Tony Stark would just have like a hologram or something.
Yes.
So good introduction. Also, good introduction into Nakia, his love interest. But also into his. Dora Milaje, I think.
Dora Milaje.
Dora Milaje, the introduction into them,
Amen.
The female army, the spear maidens, I like to call them. Just a little bit introduction into the culture as well, where the heart is at, what Wakanda does, what they do, and where they're going. But then to see that shifted when he takes the mantle of the Black Panther off and becomes, was a nice difference.
The juxtaposition.
The juxtaposition. It's kind of like a Clark Kent, Superman vibes.
Oh, damn. Okay. That's actually a good point, which is an easy thing to lose sight of in the MCU, given that Tony set the scene for secret identities not being so secret, but there's clearly an alter ego at play. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, and you see it, like he's always like around, if you can say, around white people, he's always defensive and stoic. But around his own people, he's joking with Shuri. He's not freezing.
He's at home.
He's much more. He seems a lot more comfortable.
Sheesh,
so I don't know. That's how I saw it at the beginning, and then it's nice to see his belief structure getting tested, and then him coming out of that towards the end. And not on multiple fronts.
Yes.
Because shout out to Michael B. Jordan. Killmonger, bro. Killmonger did the things.
Super MVP.
We'll definitely talk about that.
Super MVP.
Killmonger's motivation and his, I don't know.
Execution,
there we go.
Yeah.
Pun intended, I'm assuming. Just that from one front, and then, finding out about his father and his, your family is not as what it seemed. Coming on multiple fronts there. So lots of character growth. But not shoved down our throats.
Like overly sappy and that sort of thing. And I think it's one of the many brilliant moments of this movie. The fact that, and I say this quite a lot, we're talking about super beings in this world, an entirely fictional, nation. And when it comes to us relating to them, there's an entire tapestry of real life elements that you can bring into play. And they did such an amazing job. For a lot of us, you grow up, your parents don't need to be kings, not in the royal sense, for you to look up to them. We grow up looking up to our parents, they guide our lives, they're in charge of whatever. And naturally, as a child or just a youngin' coming up, there's that, nah, man, why are you doing things like this? I could have done this better. You question some things, and and then as you grow, time, age, experience,
the realization.
You're like, hey, man, okay, mom's was a little onto something with this one. Pop's okay, maybe it wasn't so wrong over here. You become a man or a woman of your own. You start to see and understand when you're in a similar position, and when there's so much riding on the decisions that you need to make. It becomes, quite the mantle to carry. And then it turns into admiration, like, how did you survive doing all of these things, you know. So I think that played so well throughout this movie. And even starting off again off the heels of, they established right from the jump that this is a week after the Civil War events, right? And he, again, we saw him as, you know, this amazing Black Panther character. And then he comes in, started off again
still that amazing
Black Panther. And then you start to tear the layers down bit by bit and get into the nitty-gritties of what this guy's background is, you know, what informed this T'Challa that we've come to know. And then, because his dad has passed away and his dad is the king of Wakanda, he's now stepping into the mantle.
And trying to take that same intention and bring it across. But he's not really realizing, but then there's the conflict within him, whereas there's, you know, what his dad said isn't necessarily what he wants to do.
Yeah, it's more a matter of how do I then rule this nation as you know, my version of a king. Because remember, what I like is that it's been established that they don't necessarily see eye to eye on all things as far as how to rule, in a sense. In Civil War, there was the introduction at the UN. It was Natasha Romanoff and Black Panther talking. And she's like, oh, I thought this is the type of thing you believe in. And I was like, nah, man, diplomacy is not really my, you know, structure. 2 people can accomplish a lot more in a room than 100. And then his dad comes in, unless if you're carrying a piano, you know. So that already shows the difference in the ideologies. Not just the whole piano thing, but just the fact that the diplomacy part of it is what his dad is about, but not necessarily him. And then you see the seeds and the layers as far as, because in any situation of power, right? Whether you're a class captain, whether you're a king of a nation, then those around you, it's like, okay, who's your circle of trustees?
And then
who do you lean on? And who do you listen to then? Because not everyone is going to be on the same page with one another, never mind with you. Early on, they established with Daniel Kaluuya's character. He was talking about, it was an element of ruling with an iron fist, like not necessarily being, you know, meek and reserved. And you sort of see it click in T'Challa's mind that perhaps that is the way to go. My dad was more about diplomacy, being reserved. And so at every turn now, it's not just you making decisions for yourself. It's for the nation and trying to ensure the future of Wakanda.
And you're a very secretive nation, you know.
Dog.
Nobody knows. You're a country of farmers, as far as everyone else knows.
What do you have to offer the rest of us? So I think, okay, that's on the philosophical side of it. And there's so much more that we could delve into. But I think as far as some of the more specifics, what would you say are some of the standout moments, whether it's, you know, a conflict he had or, you know, a little scene that came through from T'Challa?
So I think it's him and Shuri. I just love seeing siblings just be siblings. You know, their banter, and he's like, are you taking a video? Why are you taking a video? I'm not taking a video.
Research purposes.
So it's nice to see the siblings there. It's also him, like, he's a very subtle character, if that makes sense.
Yes, fully.
He's not like a Tony Stark, like dominates them. He's a very subtle character, but he still commands. And you see that even in his love language to Nakia. Like it's not a very touchy-feely, but you know, they're walking in the market. It's
so grounded and oh damn.
It's not like a full-on Western type love story.
You
know, but you know, it's nice. It's a nice change of pace. You know, from other love stories that you may have seen in the MCU. So at each point it's that reserved and thoughtfulness. Because even at the end, it's like when he killed Eric, Killmonger. He was like, my father wanted to show me the nation, and then in his final moments he took him up. He was still a thoughtful king, or you know, cousin, if you will. So thoughtfulness and reservedness.
I think, I think you hit the nail on the head as far as just covering his entire essence. You know, we can speak about this scene, that scene, but as far as who he is as a character, that's definitely what came across quite a lot. Like, he's not loud, like he doesn't, you know. And remember what they say about, especially for people in power, the louder you are, the more that's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's overcompensation, or there's imposter syndrome and all of those things. But I suppose it also shows the surety in himself that he has, in as much as there were many doubts that we saw along the way, as far as, no, man, Dad, I don't know how to do this, or why did my dad do that? And so I think, as far as his character is concerned, he definitely was royal, if you will, in his demeanor.
Okay.
And I like the emphasis about how he's the guy observing the room. Doesn't necessarily want to dominate, but don't get it twisted.
When he needs to.
He is. Yeah, man. I mean, we saw again now. In Korea, when there was the confrontation, the confrontation actually, because this is now where they're trying to trap and bring Claw back to Wakanda to answer for his sins. And Ross is there like, hey man, I'm sorry, but this is our jurisdiction. This is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the whole time he's just there like, hey man, do your thing. I'm here to do my thing. And not a single one of you is going to stand in my way. I liked the quiet dominance that he presented in that scene. And every time the conversation came up, even there when they had the interrogation and he's like, hey, okay, go do your thing, whatever. They go there, have a chat, and only to find that, he planted a bug on him just to see what's happening. But even before, he told him straight up, he didn't ask. He said, no, have your interrogation, and then once that's done, we're taking him home. No, you can't do that. That's that.
That's it,
That's
I'm the king.
He laid the law, and that's pretty much that. And the juxtaposition, once again, as far as the underestimation that everyone has of the Wakandans, because dope fashion, farmers, whatever. But at the same time, for them, it's like the power that we have and the way we could eradicate all of you, like it's nothing. But we're going to just play it cool and do things our own way. Just don't you dare stand against us. I think that came through so brilliantly throughout, As much as we could go on and on, I think let's touch on
that's it for Chadwick Boseman.
The other elements, they'll of course interlink with him.
This was the first time I saw Chadwick Boseman in a
Yes.
in a role. I'm sure he's been in other things previously, but...
For me as well. I mean, I mentioned with Civil War, I'd never seen or heard of this dude.
Obviously that one, but this
it helped to buy into him in that character. But even in the time between, Black Panther was in the very next movie I saw him in. So, okay, jumping on then to Killmonger. I like
Michael B. Jordan.
And I feel like, man, the theme for this one is likely going to be juxtaposition. With him, it's on the front of being the outsider. He grew up in Oakland, in America. So, outside of Wakanda, his ideologies geometrically opposed to, the Wakandans. Not to mention how
his conquest.
How he ruled, how he was raised, and all of these things, But talk to me about your view of him.
Killmonger. Look, he only came in quite late in the movie. I didn't realize how late it was. Stole every scene.
Yes.
Personally, I think he stole every scene. Again, like Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, very measured in their delivery. Measured.
He was louder, but I think measured is
they're
beautiful.
both very measured. Maybe a little bit louder on Killmonger's side, but very intentional. And I mean, every time he spoke, he was spitting some sort of fact, and I'm like, whoa. And he's very on the, I want to say the wokey Black American side, because my experience of Americans sometimes, or African Americans, is, we were oppressed, I'm going to make you know about it. And he was like that, but very he kind of just hit it. Just hit it.
Not only am I going to do something about it, but the way he brought it about, it all, I mean, the lady at the museum was so speechless, even, with the lines he was told. He's very succinct and poignant about the wrong that have been done
happened to his people.
And why there's a need for correction. That part is arguably my favorite element of the writing. But go on.
That, again, with Claw, and then towards the end of the fight, even when he's entering the throne room, you can see people just are starting to buy into him.
There's a presence around it. Yeah,
definitely a king as well. So yeah, I think he knocked it out of the park. Character-wise, I think they introduced him really well as to who he is, what he does, because he just killed people. He's he's a killmonger, you know, as well as just fleshing out his background here with Ross and a few other spots.
Yeah.
But also, you know, he has drive as well, and you understand his hatred as well. Because his dad died. What I didn't like was how having Wakanda being so secretive, how he knew all of this stuff. Did his dad tell him as a child?
Remember, his ancestral realm journey was a flashback.
No, but even before that.
No. What I'm saying is that his one was a flashback. T'Challa was a real-time exchange.
Yeah.
With him, it was a flashback, and he found his dad's journals about Wakanda and the stories that his dad told him.
That's how he figured it out.
Yes.
Okay.
So the knowledge was always
okay. So maybe I missed that. But okay, so that's fine. Yeah, I think really well fleshed out. Probably one of the upper echelon villains.
Yes.
In MCU so far.
Yeah.
And we've seen the villains that don't have a lot of screen time but have a lot of presence tend to do really well.
Yeah.
You know, like an Obadiah Stane. And,
of course. And
I'm sure there's one or two else I'm missing, but yeah, Baron Zemo as well. Like not a lot of screen time, kind of.
But it was effective in the story.
This is what he did, and kind of here as well. It challenged T'Challa's beliefs. You know, because they, as you said, they are a juxtaposition of each other.
Yeah.
In essence, the two sides of T'Challa, right? Diplomacy and conquest.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anything more to add to that?
Yeah, I think for me, the only other thing would be the motivation, not only in the writing, but if you think of the real life parallels, took it to a whole other level. Because you find this even with any major conflicts, right, in history. Again, in particular, the black struggle.
Yeah.
There's usually one prominent figure who's more about the peaceful resolution.
Yeah.
There's one who's more about the radical resolution. And as much as I say historically, but I mean, even now, right? We know a lot of African countries, colonize, people are getting their power and independence in all sorts of ways, and then they govern it how they choose to, or, within the bounds of whatever agreements that they have. And I mean, places like, is it Burkina Faso now,
military states.
Yeah, man, where their president is also on some, dog, y'all get the hell up out of here. We're gonna, do this thing with an iron fist. It's us above everyone else. And then others are like, okay, how can we work together? More in the South African.
South Africa. Yeah, South Africa.
More the, South African steez. So what I like is that Wakanda itself may be fictional, but all the elements around it.
You can relate to it.
Yeah, even in our modern world. And will probably be there, until the ends of time. And that is always like a brilliant, a show of brilliance rather, where writing is concerned. And it's pretty much a matter of just echoing and emphasizing what you were saying. And I admire the conviction from A to Z. One thing I've always hated about villains, I feel like in general, not just in the MCU.
They switch up.
By the end, now that you said this little speech, now that you... But no, man, it's baked into a whole story.
He was offered the opportunity. And
that's why the conviction made sense. That's why the conviction hits so much harder, because he had the choice. He's like, hey, man, let's go fix you up. And then he's like, nah, man, and then just be here.
Bury me in the sea with my people.
Yeah, dogs. I'm not just gonna, live to be in a prison and what is
death is better than bondage.
Yeah.
Jeez, that line.
Dog, come on. And again, we know many people who always on some, I'm gonna die for this cause. Like people are like, no, don't be so loud, don't be so radical, you're gonna get killed. And they're like, so what? As long as the message still gets out there. I think that was pretty powerful, And he made for quite an interesting adversary where the timing is concerned, given that long before he steps into the picture, T'Challa's already questioning how he's going to be as a king, and and then for this of all things to be, the curveball that makes him doubt his style of ruling, so to speak, and his father's legacy. Because, I mean, even when T'Challa then finds out, we left this kid, no, that was wrong, and all of that stuff, that just took things to a whole other level, And while we're on that topic, I do want to say loved how much the respect for their traditions came through in so many different aspects, you know.
Yeah.
The one being accepting the challenge.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
He could say, "You're not my people."
on whatever ground, you know, you could say, even if you acknowledge him as one of yours, whatever, but just, nah, I don't want to do this, you know, I'm going to choose to do this my own way. He didn't do that. When the general, you know, was now under a new regime, she's like, my loyalty to the throne, whoever is sitting in it, I got to stick by that, you know. That was, I think, pretty dope to see. I think with everyone else, it was more a matter of favoring of the ideology for the most part. Because if you're going to talk about how people were fighting on behalf of Killmonger, I think they were just a fan of his ideology.
Yes.
As opposed to he's our king.
Daniel Kaluuya.
His tribe. I mean, he said the killing of his father is something that he feels like, you know, should warrant proper retaliation, basically, not just on some diplomacy sort of vibes. But I think with the key characters showing that Mbaku is arguably the biggest one in that aspect.
And Mbaku is such an interesting character. I found it very interesting. I'm getting sidetracked here. I mean, I think Killmonger is kind of, if we're wrapping him up.
We're pretty much done with him. We now, you know, kind of segued into the tradition thing, and then.
So if we're getting segued here, I like Mbaku a lot because he's kind of like, he's always the opposing force. Before Killmonger, right? When they had the first. And they're like the outsider clan. Yeah. But they still defer to the king.
Hence my thing about the respect to the traditions. And keep in mind, even when it would favor them to defy it, they didn't.
Yeah. Exactly. And then you found his body there.
Fam, they rescued him, they kept him alive. He had the chance to drink the herb and gain the powers. And he's like, no, man. This guy is still in power because he did not die, he did not yield, and therefore we're gonna, you know, let them do their things. Like, that was his greatest character moment. Like, definitely big shout out to that. So, that was my little thing about the traditions. And then the other characters you want to touch on?
What do we have? We need to give Andy Serkis a shout out.
I mean,
I know probably have mentioned this before, but that South African accent.
Let me tell you, on that. Remember, Killmonger is introduced in London, in the museum, right? Or in England somewhere. And then the lady fainted and the ambulance is called. From down there by the corridor as they're running in, I'm like, aye, man. And I'm horrible with accents. I don't know if I ever told you. Like, I couldn't pick British from American. Sometimes it takes a while to be like, oh, yeah. You know, but anyway. I'm like, aye, man, guys. We're in London. Why the hell do these guys sound South African? I'm like, And then they show them a little closer. I think the first shot, I don't remember if it was a CCTV one, but it's sort of a distant shot. And then they show them close. I'm like, no, man, it's the ambulance guys. What's going on? And then when they show Andy Serkis, I'm like, yo, man, I knew I wasn't going crazy. But yes, go on.
So shout out to him, man. Like that, if you close your eyes and listen to it, you wouldn't say it's non-South African.
Nah, dog. And again, I mean, we've given him a lot of props.
Arguably the best South African accent
by
that we've heard.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, we give him a lot of props. But one more thing before you continue, his partner in it, again, could easily be South African. I don't know, but the accent between the two of them, like, So,
so give him a little bit of a shout out there. Even just him is just like being the fall guy, if you will. Andy Serkis,
when you say fall guy.
The fall guy, so like...
You mean as in Killmonger's patsy or...
Yeah, so like he kind of like caused it, right? Like Killmonger's dad and him stole the vibranium from...
Yeah.
And then the blame is always being put on Ulysses Claw.
Okay. Okay.
So just to see him from Ultron, Age of Ultron, just tying up his story.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, I think it was pretty nice. Other characters, Shuri, I don't know her name.
Before we move on, Letitia Wright is the actress. My final point on Andy Serkis, we always praise him a lot for the accent. What jumped out for me in this is the portrayal.
Yeah, he came a lot more unhinged.
Like he was just, I don't know what it was, dog, but he had this little crazy swagger, if you will.
Crazy and like gave zero.
Yeah,
Zero.
I
Give
love
zero
that.
Fs.
From start to finish, I was like, yo, dog, there's a little more to your character here. And I enjoyed, but so Letitia Wright.
Letitia Wright, I mean, she's always good fun.
Yes.
Yeah, just, they made her seem like a real genius. Also seem really young, which she is, and it fits her character well. She portrays it really well. Angela Bassett, obviously, we know in the second movie,
she took it to
a whole nother level. Here, quite reserved.
But seeing her is always such a joy, man. Like, and the thing is, she always does a lot with whatever you
always
give
say
her.
like her and Michelle Obama could have an arm wrestling competition. See those traps, like it's something else. Then you've got the two. You got Nakia really well. Like complimented. Lupita Nyong'o really complimented T'Challa. Like his voice of reason.
Yes.
Yeah. Because he's like, stay here. And she's like, I've seen the whole world. I need to go help people.
Yeah.
And it kind of influences him as well later down the line. And probably my favorite character, and I think I have mentioned this before, Okoye. Like, she is my favorite character.
The general.
You know, people ask me in the MCU, who's your favorite character?
Yeah.
I say it's her. Like, there's there's something about her. Like,
shout out Danai Guerrera. Like, no.
Whew. Yeah. It's the charisma, it's the portrayal, it's the stoicness, it's,
Man, the wit.
The like, bars as well.
Yo, come on, dog.
Did he freeze?
Yeah.
He froze. Or it's like, husband, don't make me do this.
Listen.
Bro, I mean, like, that's alluding to your tradition as well. Like, you go against your own husband.
Yeah. It's like, would you really kill me? What's like for Wakanda? Always. I was like, yo, dog. Yeah.
And like she's always that character throughout the movies. Or subsequent movies that you see her.
Consistent,
and even though it's a side character, my favorite character. My favorite character.
She kills it all the time. Yeah.
And then obviously we give shout out to the only white person in the movie.
You know,
Martin Freeman.
They token, you know, because Andy was in the mix as well, but Martin was like the...
Yeah, you know, Andy's South African.
He's one of us,
Martin Freeman. I mean, he played like that fish out of water role
like
really
what the
well.
hell is... Yeah. It's like, how long have I been out? No, it's just yesterday. Where I come from, wounds don't just heal overnight.
Or it's even when him and Claude talk, he's like, do you know what's hidden there? You think they're just farmers there, you know? They've got a whole mountain of vibranium.
Like, ask your friend then. Like,
what is it made
of? What else are you guys hiding?
And then even just him to see that he says he's a Air Force pilot. And then to see his skills translate across.
Yes. That was pretty
That was quite nice,
not just some run-of-the-mill disc jockey type thing.
So I mean, those are the characters that I can remember. Am I missing
some
anyone
special
else?
shout outs for me?
Sterling K. Brown.
I was gonna jump onto him. I wasn't sure if you're familiar or what, but I was like, oh damn, Sterling. So
same as well. I was like, wait, he's in this movie.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I saw a recent interview of his, and I think it was mentioned that he was in Black Panther. I was like, how? Sterling, Black Panther? But also part of me is like, hey, but Black Panther had so many familiar faces, whatever. Probably got lost in the sauce there. And when I watched it at the cinema, I was late. So I
probably
arrived.
Didn't even see.
Yeah, I definitely missed the intro where they say the story about, you know, the meteorites landing in Wakanda. And then the scene in Oakland, I saw like the end of it. Just before they killed him. Because I remember a Black Panther's face, you know. Speaking of which, that's my next shout out then. So, you know, we spoke about, you know, the legendary Dr. John Carney, you know, who played T'Chaka, you know, the father who passed away in Civil War. Now, the Black Panther, you know, the young version of T'Chaka is his actual son. Atanda Carney. So when I saw him, I was like, okay.
But there was a few South African faces.
One
of the chiefs, she was from Rhythm, from Rhythm City or something.
It was Connie Truman. R.I.P. She actually passed a couple months ago. She popped up in there. Forrest Whitaker.
Yes,
Forrest
Zuri.
Whitaker. Yeah. The Black Panther. Like, it's so funny because so when the movie dropped, that phrase and saying it that particular way,
Okay.
yeah, became like such a thing, such a meme, such a moment. And I think for a few years afterwards, I associated it with his character there. And then after a while, I kind of forgot. Then the phrase alone just stuck in my head, like, the Black Panther, I forgot who said it, what's going on. When the song's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, this is going to strip away the powers of the Black Panther. So, every time he came through, it was like, shout out Forrest, And fun fact, his kid played the younger version of him, which is why if you see even the eye there, you can like, that's his kid. Yeah, top of mind. Fun fact, guess who played Wakanda Jarvis? One of our big South African exports doing amazing things in America.
Trevor Noah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Trevor played the voice there. Something I only caught on to years afterwards. In an interview it was mentioned, and then he's like, I did the voice. I was like, wait, what? And he was talking about how it's such an interesting experience because obviously he's South African, but he had to do, their version of a African accent. But it's like, okay, that was pretty dope. And I think those are the ones that I can recall. We'll see if any other special characters come to mind. Then beyond the characters, any...
For a moment I thought you were going to say Beyonce there.
Nah. If only. But hey,
you never know.
While we're on, special guests and characters and all that, I don't know if you saw this, but do you know, of course, Angela Bassett is another, major Hollywood star, took the reins in the second movie. Do you know who's going to be in the third one?
I heard Denzel's going to be in the third one.
Yes, sir.
I heard, and apparently he wasn't supposed to let it slip.
Yeah.
It's like,
listen,
it's Denzel Washington. Let the man do his thing.
To segue on a segue, there's nothing more fun than when celebrities just get past a certain point.
It's not even, it's when they let it slip and then immediately they're like...
There's just that point in certain celebrities' lives where they pass a certain level of stardom and whatever. They're just out there spilling it all, I call it, having the Quincy Jones moment. And if you know, you know, but if you don't worry about it. Man, I'm super eager to see what they're going to do with him. Especially as we've seen how well the stories are crafted.
I wonder how he's going to fit
across the two movies. So, looking forward to that. But as far as the overall, world and story, any special elements you want to highlight?
I think Black Panther won an Oscar. And I think it was for costume design.
I was going to say, it's one of the auxiliary ones, but yes, they did.
I think it was that one.
Yeah.
And I get it.
Yes.
Like the get-ups were just beautiful. From the ceremonial stuff to the day-to-day stuff. I just enjoy the vibrantness. Shout out to the costume design there. I don't know.
Man. I think while we're on that, we may as well then...
Because it's got like aspects of like a Ghanaian or Nigerian governor.
It touches on different points of Africa as a whole. That was pretty dope to see, And I think...
kind of making it a whole amalgam. I know some people maybe didn't like that it wasn't like specific cultures, but
I think that's then a good entryway into the cultural aspect of it, Of course, that's why I was spoken, the story and the in-universe elements and so on. And on the cultural front, man, I think, and I've seen, I always tend to get, very quiet and observant when people bring it up to say, okay, what's your take and whatever. And again, look, as a black person, I don't necessarily think everyone's going to enjoy this for the sake of, sometimes if people are a little too quick to praise it, I'm like, are you about it? Or is this your little solidarity moment and, type of thing? Sympathy if you will. Because again, not all, black-centered properties are great on any front. We're talking movies, TV shows, and all of that. But it's always interesting to see like the nitty-gritties of people's perspective on this. But from a cultural perspective, and I mean, look, where the MCU is concerned, the closest example we have is with Shang-Chi. We touched on it, but we're not of that culture, of that world. So
I guess Miss Marvel to an extent as well. The
yeah,
series,
but it's a similar element as far as, observing as outsiders, and it's like, okay, dope to see the cultural elements highlighted, but you never know how people from, inside actually feel. And on that point, by no means the most, cultural, sort of person, but it doesn't mean I didn't have an appreciation where this was concerned. And the one thing I've never ever faulted anyone on is the love based on that. I don't falter people for how they went out, all dressed up. Because remember, dog, it was like there was Wakanda fever globally, everyone in there get up. And again, for the non-cultural people, it's like, hey, dog, I'll just show a little T-shirt of my country or a little something to be part of this mix. It didn't just feel like riding the wave. And to maybe add some context to that, keep in mind, 9 out of 10 times, whenever black stories are told, it's slavery, it's the suffering, it's the drugs.
And it's not necessarily from the perspective of a black person.
Yeah, it's outsiders telling the stories, or it's like, some romance novel, or it's the movies where, we're doing Sunday lunch at grandma's house. And so there's like certain 3 or 4 story, elements that people are gonna hop on, and then that's that.
Django.
We hardly see things that step out of that world, or at least twist that world, Django became interesting in as much as, again, written by Quentin Tarantino, but it became interesting because it was a flip on the slave genre, if you will. It was like, yeah, what if this was the guy, actually, and not just, the slave that everyone is spitting on. It's like, oh, that is an interesting take. And this kind of stepped into that world where it's like, okay, what if we highlighted, cultural elements? And look, their job was not to...
But even intelligence.
Yeah, firstly, having them being, the most superior and, advanced and wealthy race, right? And nation as a whole. But secondly, their intention or even their job was not to say, okay, now all these, African cultures, we're going to get into the specifics, we're going to this, that, whatever. But it's more pay homage by bringing a little something from that world to be front and center, right? I mean, the blankets there, for me, they're very reminiscent of like the Lesotho homies blankets,
Even the fighting where
Yeah.
the shield and spear, that's
the
a Zulu shield and spear.
Yeah, the language, of course, that they chose was Xhosa. The elements we saw from like...
Well, I guess it's a South African showcase to the world, right?
But I was going to say, you mentioned the Ghana elements, the Nigerian elements, and so,
even, I know there's some tribes, they got the
they got the
rings
disc
and
in there, and so it's like, we're going to try and, show Africa, because naturally we know Africa is the wealthiest, continent out there. Then the politics, do their thing once they got into the mix. But as far as...
natural resources, definitely the wealthiest.
The source and whatever, when we talk about where the most beautiful sunsets are, people come from all over the world to come here, go to a safari, watch the sunset. So the fact that, once again, to our earlier point, the real world elements that they brought into it, so it's not just a completely fictional thing. So I think on that front, they did quite an amazing job. And the way people just felt seen, it's like, yo, now look at us on a world stage. We don't have characters with an accent that are dumb. Because a lot of the time it's like a punchline thing, be it direct, be it indirect. It's not a person who's suffering, it's not a person of, an inferior position and all that. And it's like, no, we're going to have these intelligent people be from Africa and sound African. And as much as it's a movie version of African, and I want to get to the accent portion in a bit, I remember reading about how they actually wanted Black Panther to have a British accent. And of all people, Chadwick Boseman was the one saying, but that would mean that they were colonized. And that's not a thing. So we're going to find a way to circumvent that. It became like a back and forth thing. And even on set, he stayed in not necessarily in character, but the voice. So execs would come and visit and he'd be talking, how are you?
So like a Christian Bale vibe.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know Christian Bale was British.
Yeah. You gotta stick, So I can only imagine how some of them were just there and he's like, yeah, how are you? And they're just like, I'm fine. Because again, as the outsider's like, hey man, what this thing could mean potentially for people on the inside, so to speak, is insane. And for many years, even now, when people speak about movies that showed black people in a certain light, and it gets thrown into the mix quite a lot. So on that aspect, I feel like, man, the value that it brought is intangible, and it did wonders. Now, that being said, not everyone was a fan for their own reasons, right? On the one aspect, I can understand, because again, they used Xhosa as the
Yeah,
language.
if you're a first language
And
speaker.
even the dialect. So, yeah, I can understand feeling, even me, I don't, it's not my language or culture. I do understand it. So there are sometimes where I have to kind of force my suspicion of disbelief, when they're saying the pronunciation, saying some of the sentences, I'm like, oh, But as they say, it's the thought that counts at times. So for me, that definitely came through, right? And I suppose there probably some who were like, it's just an appropriation thing, But I'm like, to even have South African actors be a part of it. The soundtrack, dog, it's not even one. In the Marvel universe, there's only 2 soundtracks that people went on and on about for years after the movie came out. It's Guardians and it's Black Panther. But Guardians, it's leaning a little into nostalgia because, it's a playlist in a sense. Black Panther was
they made the music
original.
for Black Panther.
Yeah, they had a lot of South African
Isn't there a whole Black Panther album?
There is. Yeah. So Kendrick was like, the main guy.
Metro produced a lot, right?
And then there were a lot of, I think he may have been in the mix there, but there were a lot of South African acts that were in it, and then, even from other African countries. So the bridging of the gap, in a sense, was done, in a lot of aspects in there. You can only imagine they would have needed local consultants, to get the language done and whatnot, if not brought by just by the actors from South Africa. So I think, man, it was like a nice middle ground that they achieved. And when you look at the energy and, I mean, Chadwick Boseman's stardom, the way he just leapt to a whole other level, and the inspiration that people drew from him as a result of this, I think it did quite a lot, man. It wasn't necessarily meant to cover every aspect, represent every single element, but just to highlight that, we're going to use these real world elements to talk about these philosophies. And especially if you think about how, because we still are the richest continent, technically speaking, some of these things, if not a lot, can be achieved, depending on how we maneuver ourselves. So, I just wanted to touch on that aspect and say the movie is great, even devoid of those, but those aspects just took it to a whole other level. Because I know, there were a lot of dismissive comments like, you love it just because it's black people, love it just because it's got this, like, nah. They still told, quite the dope story at the end of the day. Yeah. I don't know, anything else you want to highlight before we pivot to the darker side?
I think we've pretty much covered everything that comes to my mind. I just... highlight, I guess, end credit scene is finding out Bucky is cured. End credit scene. Bucky is cured. That's just a little Easter egg, whatever you want to call it. But otherwise, in terms of what we've covered in the story, I think you've covered a good basis there.
Cool. All right. Then, man, some of the elements you didn't quite enjoy that much?
I don't know. It always gets to this one, and this is where I have to actually think about it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Wait, do you want to start and then?
While you think about it, fresh off of my soliloquy, but fine. I'll continue once more. Thank you. I was almost like I had one loaded, now it's gone. The CGI.
Okay. Yes, agreed. The Black Panther CGI specifically.
Yes.
He wasn't walking properly.
His suit, man. And I mean, we've said so many times, Tony Stark being number one example, every subsequent movie gets a little worse as they rely more and more on CGI.
Yeah.
And do you know why Superman looked so beautiful, even from a CGI perspective?
This is the new one.
Yeah, this one. James Gunn finished shooting the movie a year before it needed to be released.
So he was tweaking it the whole time?
No. He gave the VFX guys, the special effects guys, an entire year to do what they needed to do.
Okay, and I've heard Disney don't give their VFX
it's the opposite.
A lot of time.
So you'll have like a set, whatever, and then every 5 weeks, every 2 days, every whatever, it's like, hey, dog, can you maybe add this? Can you maybe change? So they did that quite a lot. And hey, for me, yo, dog, there's no, which is why I said I was, part of why I was underwhelmed when I first watched it, right? Firstly, again, I was expecting something else from the story. I've mentioned that. But the CGI, the fact that the last big fight is one of the worst CGI showings we've ever seen, became one of the big takeaways from me. Hence my avoiding it all these years. And there was a part of me that was hoping that now that it's been so long and it's almost on TV, they would have tweeted Nyan or something. Nope. This is exactly as it was back then, just as bad, if not worse. So yeah, that's the issue then with the dudes. And remember, part of what makes it was the fact that this suit was meant to be an upgrade. So the number one thing we praised, where we said the suit looks nice and practical and you can almost feel it through the screen.
Not so much.
Then it just went in the other direction, for both of them, the Killmonger one and his one. So not only do they look so fake as they're wearing it, there wasn't even a proper calibration when they had their faces open. So it almost looks like you just pasted the face onto a CGI thing. It looks like something I edited on my phone. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing? And clearly the other elements being so pristine in the CGI. I mean, Wakanda itself looked so beautiful, dog. Look, they did an amazing blend, right, of real world elements and CGI, but it still looked beautiful. And it shows the quality that they were capable of. But it's also Marvel, so we know what they're capable of.
Yeah, it's inconsistent.
But yeah, that one, it's still just, yeah.
That's the case with a lot of movies these days. It's brilliant stories, and then great acting, and then
stupid little things that So I don't know if there's anything else that has come to mind in the meanwhile.
No. Try to be a positive guy sometimes.
Excuse me. That's it. That's it. Out of 10, what are you giving this?
Oh, I would like to say an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's an 8 for me.
I'm also going to give it an 8 because I'm like, yo, man.
Because I'm thinking the 7.5s we've given, I think for me it was Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Would I watch Black Panther over Age of Ultron? Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Now for me, and if that CGI was proper, because again, if you rewatch it, then you gotta take it all in. I would have given it probably an extra point or so. But yeah, an 8 for just that amazing telling of the story and even like the in-universe cultural elements, not just as far as touching on the real world ones.
And everyone's motivations as well.
Yeah. It all came through
from the main characters to the side
nicely,
characters.
And the consistency. We went, on and on about Killmonger, but
you're talking about weird CGI. The rhinos were weird as well.
Is it? Okay, I don't think it jumped out as much for me, but I can see where you're coming from. Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah, and as much as we touch on Killmonger, one last thing on his front is when we talk about consistency, I think those are the two things: consistency and juxtaposition. For him, the consistency where this guy's like, we taught him all these tactics, this is how you take over.
And he used it,
and that's what he did, not just to enter, but once he got the throne, he still kept it. He was like, burn all this stuff, we're gonna. So yeah, man, I think the tightness of the story is something that is probably underrated, given how the cultural spectacle overshone all the other elements. That being said,
8 out of 10s.
Do we think this deserves a spot on our top 5?
Ooh, okay, what do we have?
So we've got Iron Man,
Spider-Man
Homecoming. We've got Captain America Civil War.
Okay.
We've
Captain
got
America,
the Winter Soldier.
And Avengers 1.
Avengers 1.
I want to say it takes number 5,
Overtakes Avengers or is alongside Avengers?
Ooh. I think it replaces Avengers.
Okay. Talk me through it and then let me think about it in the meantime.
So, Avengers is an ensemble movie. Right?
Okay.
And
you've already won me, but go on. Yeah.
Right? And so, ensemble movie. The story wasn't, I don't think it was as tight as Black Panther. And so in that case, yes. And then I think the convictions of the characters helps it outshine Avengers a little bit more. Fair enough, you don't have more convictions because you're going against a world-beating threat. But I think the story's tighter, the characters are better, and it's just I would like to say a cleaner movie.
I would add relatability as
Yeah.
another element that makes
Yeah.
it a better one. Okay. Okay.
So I think I'd put it in at
And
number
it's our
5.
number
yeah.
5. Okay, so now we got Iron Man 1, Spider-Man Homecoming, Captain America Civil War,
Yeah.
Captain
America,
America
Winter
the Winter
Soldier,
Soldier,
Black
Black Panther
Panther,
as
yeah.
number 5. Okay. I was trying to think about this in relation to the others now that it's number 5, but I think, yeah, no, those other 4,
Yeah.
a little
So
too
I
solid.
think
Yeah.
it may have pipped Winter Soldier, I would say, but the CGI I think let it down.
Ooh,
Yeah.
great point.
You know,
Yeah.
because stories kind of like are paralleled.
Okay.
You know, grounded,
Yeah.
character focused, but the cinematography maybe a little bit.
Okay, I'm gonna think a bit more because let's not overshadow as much as I threw it in last minute, but the relatability thing, man. Like,
It is more relatable.
if you really think about that,
It's a lot more relatable than Winter Soldier.
just purely based off of that whole regime aspect. Never mind kings and whatnot. You know, it could be who's the CEO in a company. It could be who's the head of a household. Like, I think that versus the espionage thing.
Actually, yeah.
Civil War was technically damn near flawless.
Yeah.
But the ground and relatability of the story,
Yeah.
which is always one of the things we are harking on when, you know, the others fall short.
And it kind of what made Spider-Man so
Yeah.
warm.
Yeah.
So
I
are we
can-
thinking
I
maybe
can see it
4?
moving up, but where do we settle? Is it, again, alongside Civil War, Winter Soldier,
Soldier,
or
or
are we gonna
replacing?
drop Winter Soldier? I think,
thinking-
man,
I think we need to drop Winter Soldier.
to 5.
Yeah.
Remember, part of what
Really?
we've got the story aspect of Winter Soldier, né? But we also had the amazing fights in Winter Soldier.
That is true, and here we didn't. We got
Because-
some fights that were
Yeah.
good, but not great.
And I wanted to say, as one of the other elements I didn't enjoy so much about this movie, the fights I think could have been,
Longer.
yes, longer, I can understand, but even if they wanted to keep the same length, not necessarily more brutal, but they're almost a little too light. Because what they did was,
My counter argument
Okay.
then is the first fight between Killmonger and T'Challa. Lots of blood, lots of stabbing. More than what we've seen in Marvel.
that is true, but then that's like the only time out of how many fights? They only have like 3 or 4 in total. And my thing is, even back to the previous, because you talk about the challenge fight.
Yeah.
The first challenge fight that we saw, that's where I was like, what are you guys doing? They did the quick cut thing,
Yeah.
not as rapidly, but there wasn't enough force behind the punches and kicks to go along with it. You know,
Okay.
either just let the scene breathe on its own, then fine, it can be at that same level, or if you're gonna quick cut, let it quick cut with, because if you think
Yeah,
about
with force,
any
yeah.
Captain America movie, when they quick cut, it's when there's a
Yeah.
lot of, you know, action going on in the fight. So that was a little too subtle to try and quick cut into it. But if you think of Civil War, the action as a whole, the elevator scene,
Yeah.
ish dog. I think alongside.
I think, I think you won me over there.
Alongside.
I'm happy
Yeah.
to do alongside.
Yeah.
I was expecting 5,
Yeah.
but I think, when we're comparing
definitely
more
needed
like for
to-
like,
yeah.
it's alongside. So then are we dropping Avengers out?
It's gonna stay.
We're going to stay at
We're
5,
stay
and then
at
we've got a
5.
tie for 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got now Iron Man 1, Spider-Man Homecoming, Captain America Civil War,
Winter Soldier and Black
Captain America,
Panther.
Winter Soldier and Black Panther.
Tied
And then
for
we
fourth,
got
and
Avengers in the
yeah.
third slot. I think
that's where I like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, that's pretty much it then from our side. You know, shout out for sticking around this long.
Let us know if Black
We on
Panther
it,
should be
if
4
you're
or
not,
5, yeah?
You know, if we missed out on certain elements, you know, drop it down there in the comments, hit that like, hit that subscribe, follow us on Instagram, you know, the Phantom Geek Zone. And otherwise, yeah, that's it from us. We'll catch you out the next one. Eh?
Yeah.
Peace.